Hello, all. On behalf of Young Indians, Thalir and Innovation Verticals, I'm happy to welcome you all for the third edition of Thalir Innovation Fest 2024. Well, to set the context, I'm sure all of you are geared up to get the schools registered from your respective chapters. So, the next logical step is to organize the boot camp for your schools before conducting the city level competitions. There will be questions on how to conduct the boot camp, what should we say, and to how to orient and prepare the kids for the city level competition. To answer all of this is why we are having this session. I am your virtual trainer today for briefing you on how to conduct the boot camp as well as the design thinking workshops, which will be the key theme for our Innovation Fest. So let's get started. As you see, we will be sharing with you a school registration and bootcamp kit. Now, this is something like a ready reckoner, which will help you to kind of facilitate the entire bootcamp of how you can conduct, what are the documents you would require, the printables that you can take it, and the design thinking workshops. So, we'll quickly go through this ready reckoner. This will be shared with you by the NMT teams. We can take a quick glance of this bootcamp kit. So, it has about 6 sections. So section 1 will be on the SOPs, on how we will conduct this event. Section 2 will be on the materials for school registration, which will include the rules, registration, the posters, all the creatives that you would need for conducting your respective city level competition as well as the boot camps. And section 3 will have the boot camp agenda. 4 on the presentation for the boot camp. Section 3 and 4 is what we will go through today specifically in the upcoming slides. And 5 will be all the printable documents that you would need for the boot camp. Section 6 will be the problem statements. Now again, problem statements will be decided by the NMT teams and will be shared with the respective chapters as and when we confirm the problem statements for this particular year. Now, what is the outcome of the boot camp? There are two key outcomes for conducting this boot camp, right? So, at the end of the boot camp, each school should have received all the printable documents and they should know the concept of design thinking and how to use it, because that's going to be the key theme for the competition. And they will also get the design thinking template, which they should be filling, which is mandatory for all the schools to fill in. So they should know how to use the template and what to fill in the template, and basically understand the concept of design thinking. That's the first key outcome. The second outcome is they should also be notified that they should fill in the copy of design thinking template for the city level and the national level if the respective school is selected, with details of their chosen problem statement. Now, why do we insist on this? Because once they do to the city level, the national level will be kind of a extended version of what they do in the city level. So it is very important that they understand and they do it correctly at the city level competitions. So the next in the item is the bootcamp agenda. This will be part of your toolkit that will be shared. So this is a sample agenda that we have put up. You're free to change the timings and the flow according to your needs, because you will be conducting them at your chapter. But basically the flow is like you will start with the registration, followed by a prayer song, and then there'll be a welcome note by YI team on why we are doing this event and what is the purpose of this event. And then we move on to the specifics of orientation of the Thalir Innovation Fest. Now that's going to be the key part, because that's where we will talk more about what this event means, the objective, the vision, the rules and regulations, and details about what each level means in the competition. Now we'll go through that specific details in the upcoming slides, but generally that's where you kind of set the context of the Innovation Fest for the schools that have registered. We take a logical break then in the agenda, and then we move on to the design thinking workshop. So the idea of this workshop is to make sure that the kids understand what's design thinking, the process of design thinking, and also get a first-hand experience of it. Also, they'll be made aware of the templates that we'll use for this competition. Subsequently is where you will kind of brainstorm and register the problem statements. What we mean by this is, by then your organizers and the NMT teams would have given you a list of problem statements. You should have socialized this idea and the problem statements with the respective schools, and at the end of the boot camp, they have to choose one problem statement that they will be using to kind of solve for this competition. As a backup, it is a good practice to have a second problem statement as well, just to make sure that too many schools doesn't select the same problem statement. just to avoid that conflict, it is a good practice to get a second problem statement. So the thing is, they should choose one problem statement and as a backup, a second problem statement. And with that, you will finish the boot camp by giving a vote of thanks and national anthem. So now we'll go through the slides of how you will be conducting this boot camp. This is primarily the orientation for the registered schools on the event. So let's get started. So the first thing is we'll move to the vision. So you'll broadly talk about what is the vision of this competition to cultivate a general atmosphere of innovation by inspiring, stimulating, and empowering young and vibrant minds. So that's, you set the context on what we do. And then objectives, three key objectives. First thing is to give the young minds an opportunity to be a part of a problem solving, be part of a problem solving for real world issues faced today. Because whatever problem statement that we choose today is based on real world problems, and we take inspirations from SDG goals and stuff like that. So we have to indicate that. The next objective is to nurture the students with techniques like design thinking. That's going to be the key pillar of this competition. And finally, also cultivate that atmosphere of innovation in science and technology, and also engage them and be prepared for them on how they can use it and what will be the implications for the future. So once you do that, then you go straight into the Thalir Innovation Fest. What is this fest about? So you can briefly talk to them about how this fest is not like just like any other competition where it is just a science and tech fest, or it just focuses on art and culture, or it's a dance competition. It's a mix of all. That's the key that you should talk about this Innovation Fest here. So the idea is to make sure that you instill that creativity, emotional intelligence, and critical thinking for the kids to face real world problems and how they solve them. So and it's a combination of like I said before, it's not just a single competition which focuses on just one theme, right? It has a varied interest, so you can have a mix of students from arts and science, arts, fine arts, and to science. So that's the beauty of this competition. So the Innovation Fest will have two categories: a competition and an exhibition. Now, key thing you have to indicate here is each school has to take part in both the categories. This is not a choice where a school can select only design thinking contest and not science and tech expo, and the vice versa. A school, when they commit to the Innovation Fest, they have to participate in both the levels. Timeline of events. So we're just working backwards. So for your information, you know that the competition, the nationals, will be held in Coimbatore in September, October. The timelines will be shared with you by the event organizers and the NMT teams. So you will choose the city level competition based on your comfort level. So there is not a fixed time that we will provide, but the teams would come back and let you know that the deadline before which you should be conducting the events. So it's up to the respective chapters to fix a date and time on when you will be conducting the city level competition. So the flow of events is going to be the key. So like I said even before, so problem statements will be ideated, will be shared with you. The schools will choose only one problem statement. Like I mentioned before, you get a backup problem statement just to make sure that there is not a lot of schools selecting the same problem statement. But the thing is, you will choose only one problem statement, and the chosen problem statement is what will flow through the different levels on the design thinking contest. Now, this flow is only for the design thinking contest, which is the first section of the competition. Once the problem statement is chosen, you go to the innovate level, which is where they will use design thinking. Right now, here is where the kids would have you will use the design thinking framework in ideating and finding solutions to the chosen problem statement. In the create state is where they will create posters. Now, this is where their art and their creative form comes to play, where they depict their problem statement. So they've defined the problem statement. They know what is the problem, what is their user, how to execute, etc., using design thinking principles. And in the create state is where they will clearly define the problem. So in a nutshell, what happens is the kids would come up with creative ways of, it can be newspaper cutting, it can be drawings, it can be probably a collage or whatever, right? But it should clearly define the problem that they have chosen. Not what they've chosen, what is the actual problem that they are trying to solve should be depicted in the poster making. Finally, in the express level is where they'll get an opportunity to express themselves, to display the problems as well as the solutions that they have identified in a theater form. We'll go through those specific details on how this flow of events and what are the rules and regulations in the for each level. So the general guidelines, self-explanatory, but I'll quickly walk through. Now, each school can form a team with a maximum of 20 students plus 2 teachers, and grade should be 9th and above. And each school can have only one team. All 3 levels will happen in parallel, which is your Innovate and Express and your poster. So the participants cannot overlap. So teams who kind of, they should come with a fixed agenda of what are the students or which other students will participate in each levels. So they can't do it in parallel. That should be clearly communicated. And each school can choose only one problem statement. Again, I repeat, this is something we get continuously FAQs on. All the 3 levels that we speak in the design thinking contest has to be for the same problem statement. Now, there were been instances where schools have chosen one problem statement and they have done the design thinking flow for one problem statement. The express will be for a different problem statement and the posters will be for a completely different problem statement. Please indicate that would only, disqualify them from the competition, because the key theme is taking one problem statement and flowing it across all levels. So please reiterate that. It's just out of our experience. We are saying that we have seen experiences like this. Now the team, that's what, it's indicated in point 5. All 3 levels will be held at a common venue chosen by the respective YI teams at your city level. Where you want to conduct is up to you to choose. Now the schools must take the due diligence to check the quality of the projects. And the teams has to take part in all the levels. Overall winners from each city will get qualified to participate in the national level championship. Now again, the scoring sheets, what will be the parameters of how you will be scoring, all of this will be shared in the toolkit. And finally, the students must, this is one key thing for you guys to note. See, the students must, come prepared with all the materials. Now, where is this applicable is in the innovate stage. So when the students have done all the design thinking templates, they can do it beforehand. They would have defined the problem. They would have spoken to the user groups. They would have identified the problem. They would have also come up with solutions. All that is fine. Now, we say that a prototype or a model is mandatory when they provide solutions, right? So they can come up with or prepare all the materials beforehand, which is not an issue, but they cannot pre-assemble and bring it to the venue. For the city level, I reiterate, the assembly of any model that they do or a prototype that they come up with for the design thinking as an outcome of their design thinking solution should be assembled at the venue only. Pre-configured or pre-assembled models will not be accepted and will be disqualified. Now, this is applicable only for the city level. Now, we would like to reiterate on level specific rules. So, level 1 is your innovate design thinking, right? The prerequisite is obviously the participating school must have chosen one problem statement from the given list. Now, in this level, because we said before that the events will be happening in parallel, you can have a maximum of 5 students take part at this level. Charts, workflows, drawings, graphs can be used to explain the solution that they have come up with in detail. And the teams should use the design thinking templates that we would have provided, which you would have gone through with them in the design thinking workshops, which we will see in the next section. Now, they should come up with the templates as well, pre-filled templates beforehand when they present the model. Now, the reason is we wanted to know that have they really done or taken the design thinking process in coming up with the solution. And for that, to kind of cross-check, we need them to pre-fill the design thinking templates. Now, points will be given primarily based on the design thinking structure used to define and solve the problem. We reiterate this again and again. Physical model or prototype is mandatory. They can't simply come and say that, yes, we did the process, we filled the templates, and here is our solution to the problem. No, because the solution has to be practical, the solution has to be realistic, achievable, and something that we can see and build. So it can be an early stage or an early level prototype. That is absolutely fine. But there should be a physical model or a prototype. We don't restrict the kids on what kind of technologies or tools or materials they can use. They can get as creative as they can. But a model is mandatory. Competition time will be 1.5 hours, 90 minutes, and they will be given a presentation time of 5 minutes, and over time will attract negative scoring. And like I said again, students should come prepared with all the materials and assemble design at the venue only. This is again, I reiterate, for the city level competition. Scoring parameters will be based on the approach and knowledge of the project area or the problem statement they've chosen. thoroughness, creativity and innovation, communication, presentation, and teamwork. Next, we move on to level 2, which is poster making. The prerequisite for this will be the participants must have used the design thinking principles, because here they are going to define the problem that they have identified in poster form. Now, to do that correctly, they should have obviously used the design thinking process to kind of empathize with their users, understand the problem, the real problem, not the problem statement. The problem statement is a descriptive one. Now, but once they've gone through the design thinking process is where they will identify the actual problem that they are trying to solve. So they should have used the design thinking principles by now and decided, yes, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. Now, that problem, whatever they have defined, is what they will depict clearly in poster form. Okay, the teams should be able to depict the problem and the solution in a poster. A maximum of 3 students can take part in this level. Size of the poster should be A2, and students should ensure that the design should be confined to the A2 size chart. Competition time 1.5 hours, and as negative scoring will attract for overtime. Again, key thing to reiterate here is students should come prepared with all the materials, chart, stationery, but the design, if they're doing a poster or if they're doing a collage, all of the execution should happen at the venue only. They can't bring the charts pre-drawn, pre-written or colored, and they just come and display there. Won't be accepted. But for example, there might be instances where the kids will say, hey, we are taking newspaper cuttings or magazine cuttings and we wanted to show, depict the problem. It's happened. Those things are fine. You can cut and bring the materials, but you'll have to come and execute the poster or design the poster at the venue. Again, please make sure that we will not be providing those charts or whatever materials that they required. So it should all be planned and done by the school themselves. Scoring parameters will be the same. But the key thing here, what we will be looking at is how are they introducing the problem statement, the thoroughness, creativity, communication, and teamwork. The last stage in the design thinking contest will be your express theta state. Now here, obviously they should have identified a problem, they should have come up with a solution, the whole process should have been done. Now that's when they can kind of think how they are going to enact this and how they are going to express this in theater form. Now here the team should convey the problem and solutions very, very clearly. Please, we have, again, this is for the presenter. There have been instances where, the kids come and completely do a different theater and act. They think that, this theater form is just to come and show their dancing skills or their mime skills. No, it should be related to the problem that they have chosen and the solution that they have come up with. And there should be a minimum of 8 participants in the script. The duration of the act cannot be more than 5 minutes. And they will be given 2 minutes to prepare or set up the stage and 2 minutes to quickly, take the, whatever materials they bring after they finish their act. The performance has to be in English only. And the performance can include costumes, dance, music, mime, whatever that creates the interest in the audience. And again, they should all come prepared with the materials, the costumes they require, if they're using an audio visual or an audio, all of this should be, the responsibility of the students. Scoring parameters will be how relevant have they done the act to the problem statement and the solution, and their expressions, their body language, their voice, their gestures, costumes, props they use, how they use the space, the story, the plot, clarity, and finally, team coordination. Now, in summary, this is what we started with, right? So, the level 1 of your Thalir Innovation Fest is the design thinking contest. To summarize, you choose a problem statement. There should be only one. Whatever you have chosen should flow across all the 3 levels, which is your innovate, create, and express. Now that brings us to the second leg of the competition, right? So you saw that on the first slide, you saw that there were level 1 is your design thinking and level 2, or I would rephrase, it's not level 2 categories. Category 1 is your design thinking and category 2 is your Science and Tech Expo. Now in Science and Tech Expo, the idea is, we want the students to come up with or choose any problem statement. Here we don't give a problem statement. They can come up and showcase some cool ideas that they have. And it can be anything related to science and tech, right? So that's the fundamental idea. So it's a platform for these young minds to come and showcase their innovation in the science and tech field. And our idea is to make sure that when they come up with some cool ideas, how can we nurture them and kind of take this to industry ready solutions, and how can we make sure that we implement it. And that guidance, mentorship is what we are trying to provide through the fest, which we will also explain in the later slides. We have done some partnerships with some incubation centers. So the idea is we wanted them to come up with these creative solutions, and our end of the commitment is to make sure that we kind of give them the mentorship and guidance to make these solutions industry ready. Now, general guidelines for the Science and Tech Fest should be: the participating school must have registered for both the categories. Like I said, they can't pick and choose only Design Thinking or Science and Tech Fest, so it has to be both. And the entries for the exhibits has to be submitted on or before the mentioned date. So when you do the city level, they should at least, say for example, you are doing the city level on April 15th, at least you should decide a week before what is an abstract of what they are trying to do, so that the school should submit to you in advance. Maximum of 3 students per team, a mandatory teacher, and you can have maximum 3 entries per school. Okay, so 3 students per team, 3 models, 3 separate teams can participate, and each of them can have 3 entries. So, and there is no theme, like I said, because the problem statements we won't decide. They can get as creative as they want. And you have to again reiterate that only functional and demonstrable models will be allowed. I mean, if they just bring it, something off the shelf, or kind of buy some gadgets and assemble them, that is not accepted. So whatever they have done from the scratch is what we're allowed. And that responsibility, I think you guys have to mention that it will be the school's responsibility to make sure the quality of the projects will be displayed is in the right spirit, and they've done it right. So the school should take responsibility here. Just reiterate there, because we are not here to go and validate or check. But if we can figure out that if they've done it from the scratch by knowing the abstract and what they have designed, so we could get a brief idea. But it's the responsibility of the school to make sure that ethics is followed. And lastly, winners from every city will be selected for displaying their models at the national level competition. So we are doing all this for what? So there has to be some outcomes and experiences, right? It's not like we just want to give them problem statement and hear them out on what they are trying to solve. It's not just igniting their ability to think. We also have to give something back to them, right? So we have collaborated with a lot of incubation centers here. I think the organizing team will be giving you a list of what are the incubation centers that we have partnered with closer to the nationals. So the winning team in the nationals will be mentored by these incubation center, and that's the key theme of this Innovation Fest, right? The kids have come up with some creative, industry-ready solutions. Whatever or whichever idea has ignited the interest, then they will be kind of mentored and kind of given them a launch pad from there where they can use the solution, and it can be made used or transformed into a reality. Trophies, gift certificates, and certificates will be awarded to the winning teams. This is more to excite the kids, because they've gone through a lot of hardship in getting this to reach at this level. So this is an acknowledgement for them. And what we do with the nationals in the last year was something which was very, very well received. So we normally create 2 zones. There will be an experience zone and an industry zone. In the industry zone, what we try to do is, right, so the kids come up with all these great ideas and science and tech expos and stuff. So we give them or we showcase what the industry does in terms of how they innovate. How does the industry look at solving the problems at scale? So we'll give them a sneak peek of what is the future of science and tech, what is the innovation, and where are the industries is leading. So real real world problems solved by big industries, and they come and set up pavilions, and they kind of showcase and give demos, or they kind of explain the process of how they try to solve the problem. So that will be a great learning experience for the kids who come in the nationals. So that is on the industry zone. The experience zone is more of giving the kids a sneak peek of what are the future trends and technologies. Things like, last year we had like drones, robots, AR, VR, such experiences, right? So we continuously work on these new experiences. Again, the organizing team will let you know what are the participants, or the within these zones who will be doing what. But that in a nutshell, Uh, it will be an interesting time for the kids to come and experience what the industry and what will be the future technology that they are, what will be the future trends and technologies that they are experiencing, or that they will rather experience. And the guidelines for nationals will be shared with the selected schools after the city level competitions. It's not a lot of change, but there'll be some tweaks. So, but now currently we are just focusing on executing the city level. So let's not fret about it. All the guidelines will be shared for the selected schools after you complete your city level. So that's in summary what and how you will kind of represent in the orientation. There will be FAQs. I'm sure kids will ask you the same question. Be prepared for it. But the points that I reiterated on choosing the problem statement, one problem statement flowing across, and team not doing things in parallel, and your execution should be specific to the problem statement. So I think those are the key things you'll have to keep reiterating, because in hindsight it might look like it's a simple thing for us, but for kids and schools to understand this flow is very essential. Otherwise, there have been confusions where they come and say, "No, we didn't understand it." So, uh, please ask them, to ask more questions, and whatever confusions they have in the flow, and more importantly, like I said, they have to participate in both the levels. So, these are the key things that you'll have to keep reiterating. So, I mean, you can keep it flexible on how you want to take some cues from this presentation, but that's the general flow of how you will be doing a Thalir Bootcamp orientation workshop.